Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Semi-Adulting with Makiya Vonyia. I am Makiya, and this is the podcast where we discuss navigating the ups and downs of early adulthood in today's world. So, yeah, y'all, welcome back to the pod. I know it's been a minute. I know it's been a couple weeks, and honestly, right now it is. I'm recording this. It's almost midnight. On Thursday, and I was really contemplating on if I wanted to record this or not. Life has been so hectic lately. Um, as I posted on Instagram a couple weeks ago, I recently moved, and we're gonna get into all that in today's episode. But yes, so I am back. I am super tired. I've been working a lot, doing a lot of overtime, schoolwork. Life has been life, and right. And I really did not want to record. I was like, part of me was like, let's skip another week. But then at the same time, like I felt bad because I'm like, I've already missed 2 weeks in a row. And, people have been asking about the pod. And so I was like, nah, gotta deliver. And then like I always say, I love what I do. I love the podcast, so I would hate to let y'all down and have y'all miss another week. But yes, so hopefully y'all have been doing good. Life's been treating y'all well. Um, and everything. Also, I want to say thank you all so much for everybody that has liked, commented, and subscribed to the podcast, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or even Spotify. I am forever grateful for you all who tune in weekly when I'm being consistent, and just listen to what I have to say, even though, it's just my opinion, on things and how I'm moving through life. So I really appreciate each and every one of y'all. I really do. Um, and then like always, even though I've already said it, ooh, this is the second time I've done it in the pod, and it is so ghetto. I'm so sorry, y'all. um, anyways, the disclaimer that I always give out. Everything stated on this podcast is strictly my opinion. I'm not no expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not none of that, okay? I'm simply just sharing my opinion as a regular, 23-year-old Black woman navigating this thing called life, okay? Everything's based on my experience, and every opinion, every thought I state is completely my own. So yeah. So today's topic, I honestly don't even have notes like written down like I normally do for my pods. Um this this saying has been on my heart since I moved. So, like I mentioned earlier, at the beginning of this month, I moved into my own apartment. So, I am living on my own. I got my own house, my own, well, it's not a house, it's an apartment, but I got my own place, y'all. So like, yay, clap it up for me. Um, yeah. And it's definitely been a transition period, but the saying that's been like constantly in the back of my mind since starting this whole process is freedom ain't free. And I'm sure if you like me, you know what that feels like. You know what that saying means. Because freedom ain't free, even though we're free to do what we want, we can, all these things, baby, it comes at a cost. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. Well, when y'all listen to this, it'll be tomorrow afternoon, but that's what we're gonna be talking about this episode. Also, I want to let y'all know, if you're watching on YouTube, this is a temporary setup. Like I said earlier, I wasn't intending to film, but something just told me, go ahead and film it. go ahead and film it. So also, like I said, I don't have any notes for this, so if I'm all over the place or I seem all over the place, I'm sorry. I'm really just speaking what thoughts come to my mind at this moment. Not that I am poorly prepared. I just feel like in this moment I don't want anything to feel scripted. I don't want anything to feel, like I planned it out. I want to sit and like have an actual conversation, even if it is with myself staring at myself in this camera, but that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, where do I even begin with this topic? So for those of you that know me in real life, y'all know these past couple years have been kind of a hard few years for me in my personal life. I struggled with, and I'm not ashamed to talk about mental health. If y'all know. I've discussed mental health on the podcast before, just briefly, but for me, I'm not even gonna hold you. I've struggled with anxiety and depression. I am in therapy and I love my therapist. But I'm in therapy and I'm healing, and just to witness the growth that I see in myself, the growth that I've like done, the transformative period that I've been through in this past couple of years has been amazing for me to like when I look back and I'm like, dang, like I really went through that, And now I'm at a place where I finally feel like free. I feel at peace. I just feel genuine happiness. And I think that's something that I hadn't really felt or allowed myself to feel within the last couple years. And this goes back like not just to me getting my own place, but to everything that I've been through. So like I said, I'm just in here, I'm just gonna let my thoughts flow freely. And honestly, I don't know about y'all, but if y'all know me, y'all know I believe in the Lord. And so I feel like the Lord is urging me to kind of tell y'all a little bit of my story and my testimony of what I've experienced. So many of y'all know I used to be in nursing school. I worked as a CNA in the hospitals. I loved all things nursing, okay? So this is back, I'm gonna take y'all back to 2020. 2020, I was in school. They had moved school virtually, but I was also working in the hospital as a CNA. I started at that particular hospital. I started right when COVID got bad, like right before the shutdown. So this is March 2020. And I really didn't know it at the time when I was, applying for the job. I'm thinking this is just a regular CNA position. If you know anything about nursing, I'm thinking this is a regular med surge floor, regular stuff, right? It ended up being like respiratory ICU. And don't get me wrong, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but looking back on it, it's kind of like funny to me because like, girl, how didn't you know like this is what this is gonna be? But I love all things critical care, right? But I didn't think that that was what I was signing up for at that time. But it ended up being that just because of how bad COVID was. And, it was definitely, I would say, one of the most traumatizing periods of my life, as I'm sure it was for many of us. Like just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Like, and for me, being an essential worker, I worked night shifts. So I would go in um 7 p.m. and remember keeping like a change of shoes in the back in the trunk of my car, because when I would leave work, I would leave my work shoes in my car and then change into, my shoes to go in the house. And I remember coming home in the mornings and having to go straight to the bathroom to take a shower. Like, don't say, don't do nothing, don't talk to nobody, go to the bathroom, take a shower. That was my routine. And it's crazy to think that, gosh, it's already been almost 4 years since that happened. But I'm saying all this to say, I feel like that was the start of me kind of losing my freedom in a sense. Because if you think about it, there wasn't really much that we can do. The world was on lockdown. And for me personally, I was on lockdown. God, I don't even know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm very transparent, I'm very real, and I want y'all to understand where I'm going with this and understand a little bit of my story without saying too much, child. Okay. So me, my mother, and my father, we all decided to shelter in place at my grandmother's apartment. Mainly because we didn't know what was going on. And if you know anything, if you're black, granted, not all of us is raised the same, but a majority of the time when things go down, black people like to stick together, right? So I think that was the mentality. Also, if y'all watching on YouTube, this is completely side note. Ignore my nails. I know I'm working on it. Anyways, I think that the mentality for black people is, we stick together. We help each other out. We're going to get you know what I'm saying? And then I think that for us, it was just an easier arrangement to make sure that, my nana was okay. We all in this together, right? But with that move, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one that lost my freedom in this, but I lost my freedom because I no longer had a room of my own. I'm just going to keep it all the way real. I was sleeping on an air mattress in my nana's living room. So I lost my privacy. Already couldn't go anywhere because we're on lockdown. So lost my freedom to do that. I experienced kind of like a deep, like I wouldn't say like a super deep depression, but I did find myself going into a depression. Because I'm one of those people, I kind of need my own space to function. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my nana, I love my mom, I love my family, but I'm the type of person, if I don't have a separate space to where I can decompress and just be by myself, it's very, very hard for me to function. So throughout COVID, I am still in school virtually. And that was very frustrating for me too, because I'm in school to be a nurse. How y'all gonna teach me how to put an IV in online? You know what I'm saying? Through Zoom. I struggle with that a lot because, like I said, I'm living with family. Family ain't always quiet. And if I'm trying to study or do anything, I don't know. I just felt like I just felt like I couldn't focus. Um not to because I know they be listening. Not to say that they was a distraction, but at the same time, like for me to work at my optimal like best, I need to be somewhere like where I'm by myself. Don't bother me. Don't ask me no questions. Don't do nothing. Okay, I'm trying to work. I am a Capricorn, and if y'all know anything about Capricorns, we is workaholics. I am guilty. I am guilty. So I lost my freedom in that point of freedom of privacy, freedom of doing, going where I wanted to go because I couldn't go anywhere because everything was on lockdown. Like, that was the beginning. Okay. So fast forward, we're going to move up to 2021. And I promise y'all, this story has a point. We're going to get there. Fast forward to 2021. I ended up losing my job, not necessarily losing my job at the first hospital that I worked at. It was more so they kept cutting my hours. And like I said, I was a student at the time. By this time, things are starting to y'all was there. Things are starting to open back up slowly. So school had just started to open up. I think we were going, if I can remember correctly, I had class like twice a week in person, and the rest was like on Zoom. And then, of course, I was going to campus to meet with my friends. Shout out to Tiara and Haven. I don't know if Haven listens to my podcast, but I know Tiara does. So, them is my girls, and I'm so super proud of them because both of them finished nursing school and they are now registered nurses. So, shout out to them. Y'all make sure y'all go show them some love or send them some love. They are the best. I know T, she is a NICU nurse, so she's the best NICU nurse that I know, period. And I think Haven is L&D, labor and delivery. Either way it goes. Those are my two favorite nurses in the world, so shout out to them. Anyway, so I would go to campus and meet up with them. And if you are tuning in on YouTube and you've been an OG subscriber on YouTube, y'all remember my vlogs. Y'all know my vlogs. I was doing a day in the life of a nursing student, and those videos kind of went viral a little bit. So shout out to y'all. But anyways, so things started to open up a little bit. Things, I'm thinking things is moving smoothly, right? Fast forward to August. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I feel like I'm gonna cry telling this. I think it's because I haven't talked about it in this way. But so August 2021, I had been applying for jobs for like months, like trying to get a new job because, like I said, my last job, they were cutting my hours. Like I didn't have no money, child. I was broke. I was struggling. By this point, me and my mom had moved to our own place. So I felt some kind of relief in the fact that, okay, I got my own space now. I got my own room. At least I can go in my room, right? But I wasn't prepared for what happened next. I keep laughing and I'm sorry because it's not funny. It's just that, dang, this really happened. So, searching for jobs. I went on several interviews with one particular hospital, system within my city. Didn't hear back for weeks. Finally got a call back. Finally got an interview. Got hired. I'm happy because this is I'm gonna be making great money again. I'm gonna be able to get back on my feet because I was struggling financially, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. We good now, right? So I started working my new job. Loved it. I moved to the cardiac intensive care unit. I love anything ICU critical care. If I was to go back to healthcare, that's what I would do, but I don't have a desire to do that now. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. It was cardiac ICU and it was night shift. So I was happy and I got to learn a new skill, girl. I was over the moon, right? But of course the unexpected happens. one day, I believe I had to work this night, but I was on my way to my nana's house, and because I needed to wash my clothes because our apartment didn't have a washer dryer. So I was on my way to my nana's house, and all of a sudden, I'm almost there. This lady crosses 3 lanes of traffic and hits my car. She hits my car so hard that like I go up on the curb, and there was a Wendy's right there on the corner. I'm almost in the Wendy's. Um, and now looking back on this, hold on, because I just love how God works. She hits me so hard that I'm on the sidewalk, and she keeps going. Mind you, I had told y'all I was going through financial difficulties like literally 2 days before my car insurance was due, but I had to wait to get paid because this was a day before payday. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay my car insurance tomorrow because I get paid tomorrow, and I can, you know what I'm saying? I get hit the day before. And you know, when you don't pay your premium, you don't have coverage, right? She hits me, she keeps going. There was a lady behind me, a white woman, and she was like, I got her license plate number. She gives me her license plate. And at this time, in my city, police officers weren't responding to accidents that didn't have any injuries. Thank God I wasn't injured or hurt or anything. You know, I give God the glory for that, because it could have been way worse than it was. But because they did not respond to the scene, I had to do everything online, right? Submitted my police report, and nobody ever followed up on the police report. Like, I didn't get a call from a detective. I didn't get nothing. They weren't even trying to look for the girl. And I was pissed about that. And also too, because my car, it wasn't really drivable because where she hit me, like my whole front end, she hit the whole front end of my car, and like my grill and stuff. I had to pick my grill up off the out the Wendy's parking lot. Child, it was ghetto, okay? I had to pick my I had to pick my grill up and put it in my back seat, and I'm like, what just happened? Mind you, this is like my first. No, I'm lying. This is my second accident. Okay, the first one wasn't really too major. It was a little dent or whatever. His insurance covered it. Cool. But because this kept going, like I didn't even know who to go after. So, and then because I didn't have insurance at the time, it also made it worse because like I can't get my car fixed because they're not gonna cover no claim. And when I didn't pay my premium, so it was crazy. And I still ended up going to work that night because I didn't have a choice. I cried about my car, and then I went to work. But then I went and got like estimates on my car and all this stuff. And hold on, y'all. I forget that it does this. I went and got estimates on my car and stuff, and they were like gonna charge me ridiculous amounts to get it fixed. I couldn't even. I tried to trade the car and try to get a new car, child. They wouldn't take it because my credit was messed up and the car was too, like, it was just a whole lot going on. And eventually I had to give the car back. So that's my second loss of freedom, because then I couldn't move on my own. I couldn't go when I wanted to go. I couldn't do none of that, y'all. And I think that's when like the depression started to come back, and it started to really hit, because I'm used to coming and going as I please, going to go see my friends, going to do this, going to do that. And now I'm in a position to where I kind of live far away from my friends, so they don't really want to drive to come get me, which I understand. Gas high. I get it, right? But I am grateful to my friends who did come and get me, even if they didn't feel like it or didn't want to. I love y'all. But so I started feeling that really bad. Like I was going through it, and Yeah, I was going through it. And so at the time, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Because now I'm in debt because I was making car payments. So now I'm in debt, can't get the car fixed. Um, they want me to finish paying off this loan. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to tell y'all too much about what I did because I just feel like that's personal. But just know that God made a way. Eventually, I had to learn my lesson. Um, but I was without a car from August of 2021 until November 2022. So a year, almost a year and a half. And I'm so, 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 so grateful that I got the mama that I got because my mama sacrificed a lot, to get me to and from work. Because after that point, I ended up quitting my second hospital job at the I quit that job in December. I just got so burnt out, I feel like, because on top of the things that I was dealing with at home, I was also dealing with a lot at work. Again, critical care, still dealing with COVID patients. People are still passing away. It was just a lot on my mental at the time. And I believe that I just got burnt out. And I was like, I'm done. So I quit that job. And then I went out of town, child. I went to Houston. I went to Houston and had the time of my life to start off 2022. But before I went to Houston, I did find a job, and this is how I got introduced to insurance. Um, One of my aunts owns her own insurance agency, and she was hiring at the time. And so I'm like, I'm not even gonna lie. I referred a friend at first to the position because I was thinking it was remote, and she had just had a baby and she was looking for work. Um, Come to find out, the position was not remote, and so from what I was told, she wasn't. They didn't do an interview or anything. So after that, my aunt let me know that the position was still open. So I was like, okay, if the position is still open, I'm interested in, you know, pursuing it. I want to do something different. And so, yeah, my aunt was like, okay, well, if you want to do it, you got, you got to get your licenses. You got 2 weeks to complete the course. So I completed the course within like a week because, child, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't working. I was sitting at home. I remember literally sitting at home watching Harry Potter. I watched the whole Harry Potter series while studying for my property and casualty insurance licenses, right? This is that's crazy. Did all that, went to Houston and came back, and I started my job as an insurance agent. Well, not an agent at her firm, but I was a salesperson at her firm at the beginning of 2022. Now, we're in 2022. I lived super far. Well, at the time when I started, I lived about 20 minutes from where I was working. But because I didn't have a car, my mom was driving me back and forth to work, meaning we had to get up super early because I was working 8 to 5. Was it 8 to 5? 8 to 5:30. My mama got to be at work at the same time as me. So we getting up early so she can drive me across town to work every day. And then she would have to turn around and go the opposite way to go to work. And then she had to come pick me up in the afternoon. And during this time, I feel like I experienced all the emotions. Because like I would just be like, some days, you're just ready to go home from work, and it's like when things are not in your control, um when things ain't in your control and you can't dictate when you come and go because you have to depend on someone else at the time to get you, through that period that you go through, it can be very frustrating, overwhelming, sad, depressing. Like, anxiety filled, like it, I felt everything. But I knew at the same time, like what I wanted and what my goal was. I wanted a car before my birthday. Um, so I worked my ass off. And the crazy thing is, I never seen myself working in insurance. I never saw myself as a salesperson. I'm selling shit left and right, baby. Like, don't play with me. Okay, now I'm being cocky, but y'all get the point. I'm selling shit left and right. And excuse my language to the kids who's watching or listening. I'm selling things left and right consistently. I think so. I got licensed. I got my license at the end of January. I literally started selling like within a week. And I remember my very, 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 very first sale. Um, and it was a simple renter's policy. And I was so happy. I was like, girl, I done convinced you to buy from me. Okay. So, and at that point, I fell in love with insurance, and that's why I'm still in the career that I am. But back to what I was saying, during this time, during this year, this 2022, for me, I took it as a season of, my motto that whole year was stay down till you come up. Literally, stay down till you come up, because I'm in a position to where I'm not in control like I want to be. I don't have the freedom like I want, like, like I would like to have, because we also moved. And when we moved even farther, because, the nicer apartments is on the outskirts of town or whatever. So literally a 40-minute commute from my new house to work daily, to and from. So that was another sacrifice. And it feels like, looking back, it went by so fast. But in that moment, like during that time period, I felt like time was moving so slow. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting up at 5:30 to be at work by 8:30 because my mama got to drop me. I'm getting to work early. I'm getting to work early every day, at least 30 minutes to an hour early. And but that was the sacrifice I had to make at that time. And I also had to realize too that other people were making sacrifices for me, because my mama didn't have to do that. And like, I really just want my mama to know that I really, 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 like, I know she don't, I mean, I know she knows that I love her, but I don't think she realizes how much I love her, and I am eternally grateful that she is my mom, that God gave me her as my mother. Like, because without her, I would not have, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would have done. I realize how lucky I am, because not everybody has family or mothers or parental figures in their life that would sacrifice that like that for them. And so, to my mama, girl, you know how I'm rocking behind you. Da da da. But no, I love my mama for real. But it was hard because I felt lonely a lot. Um because I live even farther. Like, I'm living like at least a good 30 minutes from downtown, and I'm the furthest out of my friend groups. I couldn't really see my friends as much as I wanted to because I didn't necessarily have transportation. Um to go out, and I always felt like I was kind of like missing out. That was my biggest thing. I'm like, I'm missing out. I'm missing out. I'm missing out because I can't go. And it was very hard for me during that period. But what I had to realize in that season is, um, like I've been saying, freedom ain't free. And there was sacrifices and there was lessons that I had to learn. It might not have been monetary, but there's a cost to wanting your freedom. And there's a cost to being able to come and go as you please. There's a cost to you having your own space for you to function. There's a cost to everything, whether it be monetary, emotional, physical. There is a cost. And I feel like in that season, I learned how much I'm willing to spend on certain things. And again, we're not just talking monetarily. We're talking emotional. Like, I'm not about to spend a whole lot of time and emotions getting invested in things that is not going to help better me. So I had to do a lot of learning about myself. And I think in that season, because I felt so alone, Jesus. And let me say this, just because you're alone does not mean you're lonely. That's two separate things. When you are alone, it just means you're by yourself to better yourself, to learn yourself, to love yourself more. When you feel lonely, you can feel lonely in a crowd full of people. You can feel lonely in a crowd full of people because, to me, if you are wanting their acceptance, if you're wanting their attention and you're not getting it, it's very easy to feel lonely in a packed room. But I think when you are alone and you learn to be comfortable in your solitude and being by yourself, you do not need validation, acceptance, attention from nobody. And that is one of the most powerful things that I feel like I could have learned in this season. Because I kind of struggled with that a lot. And I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but in my head sometimes it's making sense. So I don't know. Y'all are like low key my diary. Welcome to my therapy session. There's a girl on Instagram. She has her own podcast, and I love her podcast name. I think it's POV. You're my therapist, and so y'all my therapist. Y'all my diary. But yeah, anyways, that's one of the biggest lessons I also learned during this season of determining what the cost of freedom is. So yeah, I prayed a lot in this season. And I mean, I prayed because outside of me, not having a car or whatever, I mean, in our new home, I had my own space. I had my own bathroom, my own room and everything. Like, that was kosher on that end. But still not being able to, like I said, connect with my friends and people that I wanted to see. Like whenever I wanted to, that was hard because I couldn't come and go as I wanted to. But also too, I used that time to deal with a lot of things that I'm not going to discuss because some things just don't need to be on the internet. But I was dealing with a lot of personal things. We just gonna say grief. I was dealing with grief and anger and being hurt. And I think that season of not having my freedom, forced me to deal with those things. Because sometimes when you are granted freedom, and I'm going to speak for me, and I don't know if y'all can relate or not. But sometimes when you are granted freedom, you use that freedom to run from your problems. And I think that with me being restricted so much of what I could do, where I could go, when I wanted to do things, it kind of forced me to really sit with myself and deal with things. So I prayed a lot during this season. I prayed a lot, talked to God a lot, Um, journaled a lot. I tried to, really just reconnect with myself on so many different levels. Um, and just reconnect with God, because at that point he was the only person I could really I'm not gonna say the only person I could depend on, but he was the only one that I knew that could move mountains and part the Red Seas for me, right? So my faith strengthened so much during this time, because, and even now, like, it's like, God, sometimes God, I don't know I don't know how this gonna work out. And I'm talking about this like this is so far, so far gone, but this is literally just last year in 2022. I dealt with so much anxiety, around finances, around finding a car, around doing this, doing that. And when I started praying, and when I started being like, look, God, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I trust you. That's when things started opening up for me, right? So around July of 2022, I had a major breakthrough in my finances. I had made like great strides with, taking care of some business that I need to take care of that I'm not going to discuss because I feel like it's none of your business. Y'all be in my business, but y'all ain't gonna be in that business, okay? Um, and even though what I had to do was very much a hard decision, it wasn't something that I wanted to do or even thought about doing, but I knew that, after speaking to my mother and my nana, like, look, right now this is the best option. So I did that. And in July 2022, um, everything was cleared. And then that's when doors started opening. It's like God just like God just like opened the gates of heaven. Um, I feel like I'm gonna cry. um, because he opened those doors for me, those big, big gates. He opened them big gates for me. I was able to enroll in school again, which, if you know me, um, me not finishing my degree, or me not being in school, or me changing majors, getting kicked out, everything really hurt me deep down, because I've always wanted to go to college. I always wanted to get my degree. And so when I was deprived of that for the moment, um, it really hurt me. But I was able to apply for school again, got into school. Um, I had to wait a few months. And at the time, I'm like, I'm at the finish line, right? Like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But you know how when you get so close to something that you can like almost taste it, and you feel like every obstacle possible is being thrown in your way to prevent you from getting to that end goal. It's happening. That's what I felt like. Um, in November, I started car shopping. So November 2022. Remember, y'all, I said I wanted to have a car by my birthday. My birthday is December 28th. If y'all don't know, Capricorn gang, period. Um, started car shopping in November. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. God done made a way. God done cleared the path. I'm ready, right? Everywhere I went, I was turned away. Um, Mainly due to credit. No, you don't have enough. Or if they wasn't turning me away, they were asking for a ridiculous amount down payment, and I'm like, I ain't got that. What you talking about, $5,000 down? Like, if I'm gonna pay $5,000, you might as well go ahead and give me the whole car. No car payments under. I might as well buy the whole car cash. That's how I felt. Um, and I remember one day And no, I'm so happy that like nobody seen me because I was at work in my office crying because I just couldn't understand why. I'm like, God, like I'm here. Like, why is everybody saying no? Like, why doesn't anybody want me to be free? Like, why can't why, God? And I was crying at work. Then, mind you, I work in insurance, so of course we have contacts at car dealerships, all this stuff. I'm calling people, look, what can you work out for me? Like, I bring you donuts every other month. What can you work out for me? Like, donuts is really in a good trade off for a car, but you get the point. And everybody's like, no, or $5,000, $3,000, and I'm like, I ain't got that type of money, God. Like I didn't. Like I'm like, God, I don't have that. um, my pay rate wasn't the greatest, but like I would make everything up in my commissions. That's how I was really making my money. But I'm like, even still, God, like this is just my bills, like my monthly bills. I'm barely like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a millionaire. And then one night after work, my nana came and picked me up, and I was like, okay, let's go try this dealership. Let's just see what they say. I know the guy that worked down there. I go see him every other month, whatever. And he was like, sat down, did the process, ran my credit, all that. Y'all know how that car buying process goes if y'all have ever bought a car. And he was like, no, I can't. I don't have anything that I can get for you. Da da da. At this point, I'm so frustrated and defeated. Like, I'm like ready to give up. Okay. But I think right here is when God really just started to test me. Like, how much are you willing to give? You know, how much are you willing to invest in your faith? How much do you trust me? Jesus. I went back to my nana's house that night, and I remember going into her bathroom, and like I'm praying hard, like to myself, like, God, I don't understand. Like I'm angry with God, and I'm like, God, I don't know, like help. Like I'm and it sounds so dramatic, but this is really what it was for me. I'm like, God, please help. Like I need you to intervene now. I need you to step in and make a way right now, Jesus. Like, because I'm ready to give up, but I know that you wouldn't bring me this far to leave me. So like I'm praying all of these things, right? And come out the bathroom because I was crying. Wipe my face, come out the bathroom. And something told me, try this car lot. So I'm like, okay. Go on their website. I'm just looking to see what they got. They had where you could do a pre-approval online. Did the pre-approval. I wasn't really I didn't really believe the numbers that they had gave me. And I'm like, that don't sound right. But okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling. Well, the next thing you know, I get a phone call from the car lot. And she's like, hey, is this Makiya? And I'm like, yes, this is she. And she was like, hey, yeah, I just want to let you know that you are pre-approved. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth in my mind if I want to tell y'all the price. I feel like I've talked about it to people who are close to me, but sharing this publicly, I don't know. I'm just gonna say it because something in my heart's telling me to say it. She was like, yeah, we got you pre-approved for $350 down. And I'm like, $350? Like, that's it? Nothing more, nothing less. She was like, yeah, $350. She's like, do you see any cars on the site that you might like? And I'm like, hold on. I'm like, hold on, let me look a little closer. And I was like, I don't really see anything at this location. And she's like, okay, no problem. Let me look for you. Like, what type of car are you looking for? And I'm telling her, like, oh, I want a sedan. She was like, okay, we have one. It's in another city, but we can ship it to you. But you have to pay the $100 shipping fee, and I can only hold it for 24 hours. And this is why, like, I'm just eternally grateful and blessed for my family. I didn't have that money for the transfer yet because I was waiting on payday. I was supposed to get paid, I think, next couple days. And I'm like, I don't have it, but this is my car. Like I knew when I looked at it, I was like, that's the one. And I'm like, I don't have this. Like, what I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do? I said, hold on, let me call you back. Call my granddaddy. I'm like, granddaddy, please. Like, I'm trying to get this car. They need the fee to transfer to ship the car from this city to where we at. And like they can only hold it for 24 hours. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back when I get paid in a couple days. My granddaddy made it happen. So shout out to my granddaddy. I don't know if he listens, but um I'm just eternally grateful to God for the people that he's placed in my life and the family that he's placed me in. And I'm gonna keep saying it because it's true and that's how I feel. So because without them, like none of this really would have happened. I wouldn't be the woman that I am. Oh Jesus. Made it happen. Get the car. And when I went to the lot, because it only took them a couple days to get it here, we went to the lot. It was a little rocky at first. I ain't gonna hold you because they had the wrong information, but they got it fixed quickly. Went to the car lot, got my car, and it was just a blessing. Because like I said, I wanted it before my birthday. I got it November 17th, November 18th. A whole month before my birthday. God came through. If y'all can hear my dog snoring, I'm sorry. Like I said, it's late at night. It's like almost 1 a.m. Um I'm telling this story about my journey to freedom. Because I got my car November. Now I'm like, okay, I can move on my own. I'm going to work, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool. Okay. So we got two things that I was looking for. My own space to decompress and a car to move how I want. Now, the last freedom that like I was really needing, yeah, I ain't gonna hold y'all. If y'all can hear my dog, she snores like she work a 40-hour a week job. And she don't. So I'm sorry. But anyways, I wanted a car and my own room. If I had to stay at home, my own room in my own space. Got that. Last thing I needed, financial freedom. Financial freedom. Like as far as income goes. Because I was free from other things. But I was looking for the freedom to enhance my income. So still working at my aunt's agency, still selling, but now I got new bills. I got new bills. So if you can imagine, the money that I was making was barely cutting it to begin with. Now I got new bills, and I'm like, can I eat this month? And also too, I was in a position of wanting to grow, and no shade to my auntie's business because it's a great business and I'm incredibly grateful for her allowing me to work for her for over a year. I learned a lot. I found my passion, but there was no room for me to grow. Um, there was no room for me to grow. We're just gonna leave it at that. And there also wasn't really, to me personally, there wasn't much of a incentive as far as me, getting a raise and, other things. And I'm like, not to say that, I'm like the best salesperson ever to exist on earth, but I felt like the amount of work that I was putting in, the skills that I brought to the table, the innovation, the everything. You know what I'm saying? My work ethic, my drive, you know, I brought in a lot of clientele. And that's something you can't deny. I brought in a lot of clientele, especially when it came to the business insurance side. I brought in a lot. But I felt like for what my skill sets were, I just felt like I deserved more. And I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't an easy decision for me to make because, like I said, it's my auntie. It's not like me just leaving a regular job. No, like this is my auntie. And my coworkers had kind of become like family in a sense. Um, because it was such a small like agency. So it's kind of like this is a hard decision for me. But opportunity came for the job that I have now. Came with so much more. When I say God has did his big one, okay, he did his big one. Um, because it was increased. Just increased. And it's God's hands has just been all over my life. And like just praise God for that. So I made the decision to move. That's another lesson I had to learn. Are you gonna move when do you trust God to make a move when he says to make a move? I didn't know what I was going into in a sense with this new position. But I just knew it felt right. I felt at peace about my decision. And so, because of that, because I trusted God, I have been able to move up twice in my current role. I moved out to my own place because God has secured my finances. And even though I had to make a lot of sacrifices, and I still have to make sacrifices, and even though I went through a lot of hurtful things, I went through a lot of growing pains, I went through a lot, these past 3 going on 4 years. But sometimes the cost of freedom requires sacrifice. Sometimes the cost of freedom is being hurt, being disappointed, being let down, so that you know how to deal with it if it ever comes back up in your life. And also so that you're grateful. I think that was my biggest thing. I learned to be grateful for the things that I did have. Because like I said, not everybody's parents would have drove them to work every day. Made that sacrifice, like to get up. My mom, I'm blessed, okay, to have the mama that I have. Because that woman, she would do anything for me. And I would do anything for her. But to see her sacrifice, mind you, she's working. She's in school too. She has a whole internship too. Like she has a life, right? But to see her sacrifice like sleep, sacrifice not having that much money, like to help me because she wants to see me be successful and she loves me and she cares about me so much, that is a blessing. And I realize not everybody has that, and I'm grateful for that. Um, for that reason. So, if you are going through a season where you feel like you're not free, the best advice I can give you is to, one, stay down till you come up. Two, keep trusting God because it'll all work out. Now I'm in a place where like I'm sitting in my very own apartment, no co-signers, it's just me on the lease. I'm in a good neighborhood. It's it's a big space, like in it's mine. You know, this is my space where I can live and go through this next stage in my life for however long this season may be. Um, create memories and just continue to learn and grow into my womanhood. If I didn't go through everything that I experienced, I wouldn't be sitting right here. So sometimes the cost of freedom is a little bit of pain, but the pain is worth it. Um, my favorite scripture in the whole Bible that I have lived by for years, and I'm going to leave it with y'all tonight. Well, this afternoon when y'all listening. Romans 8:18. For the pain that you are experiencing now cannot compare to the joy that is coming. And just know that the joy is coming. It might hurt right now. It may not be what you want right now. It may seem like God's not listening, but He's listening. He has a plan for your life. He has a purpose for your life. So just keep holding on. I'm praying for you. And like always, y'all, if y'all ever want to reach out to me, to talk to me, like you can DM me. I say this all the time. I am a regular degler, schmegler, in Cardi B's words. 23-year-old. I'm still figuring things out myself. But what I feel like I've been called to do is to share my story with y'all, or at least parts of my story with y'all. Because if I can help at least one person get through whatever it is they may be going through, I feel like I've served my purpose for what God has put me on this earth to do. So, yeah, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. It's a little bit over an hour, so I am sorry, and I'm sorry if I was all over the place and if I didn't make sense at some points. But I wanted to tell my story because it was on my heart. Freedom ain't free, but it's about what are you willing to sacrifice to get your freedom? What are you willing to trust God with to get your freedom? Are you willing to, go through some things, go through some hurt, through some pains if you knew that it was freedom on the other side? So keep that in mind as y'all go through this weekend and all of next week. I love y'all per usual. If you haven't already, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to join the family. I don't even know what to call our group. If y'all have any ideas, leave them in the comments below. But make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell so you're notified. Podcast will be back to its regularly scheduled programming every Friday. So the setup might change because I still got boxes, child. But yeah, so thank y'all so much for tuning in. I missed y'all and I'm glad to be back. And hopefully, this week's episode touched y'all as much as it touched me. So I am eternally grateful for each and every one of you, all 403 of you on YouTube. I mean, I'm excited to continue growing our community. So make sure you share this podcast with your family, your friends, another 20 something going through life. This is a safe space for us. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to stop talking because it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm up sitting here up like I don't have to work in the morning. But yeah, love y'all. Bye. Make sure y'all subscribe and I will catch y'all in next week's episode. Ciao.